Imagine you had to choose a new home for humanity. On one side, the Moon, our closest neighbor just 3 days away. On the other, Mars, a distant planet that would take 7 months to reach. Which would you choose? The answer might surprise you, and it goes against everything that seems logical. Today we're going to discover why NASA, Elon Musk, and the world's top scientists are betting their chips on Mars, even though we have the Moon right there, practically on our doorstep. If you're curious, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any incredible scientific discoveries. Let's start with a question that seems obvious. If we want to colonize another world, wouldn't it make more sense to start with the closest one? The Moon is only 238,855 miles from Earth. To put that in perspective, that's like driving around the entire United States about 95 times. Mars, on the other hand, well, Mars is a completely different story. At its closest approach to Earth, it's still 33.9 million miles away. That's 142 times farther than the Moon. In terms of travel time, we can reach the Moon in 3 days. Mars? At least 7 months of travel, if everything goes right. And here's the first big mystery. If proximity is so important, why are all the colonization plans focused on the red planet? To understand why the Moon isn't the paradise it appears to be, we need to look beyond its romantic beauty. The Moon is, literally, a dead world. And when I say dead, that's not just a poetic expression. First problem, radiation. Earth has 2 incredible natural protections, our atmosphere and our magnetic field. They work like a double shield against cosmic radiation and solar winds. The Moon? It has neither. An astronaut on the lunar surface receives about 200 times more radiation than here on Earth. To give you an idea, staying 1 year on the Moon would be like getting 2,500 chest X-rays every day for an entire year. Second problem, the temperatures are absolutely insane. During the lunar day, which lasts 14 Earth days, temperatures can reach 260 degrees. That's hot enough to melt lead. But when night comes, and it also lasts 14 days, the temperature plummets to 280 degrees. Imagine trying to keep a colony running with these extreme variations. It would be like living inside an oven for 2 weeks, and then inside an industrial freezer for the next 2. And here comes a problem that few people know about, lunar regolith. This soil on the Moon isn't like the dirt we know. It's billions of years of meteorite bombardment that created an extremely fine and sharp dust. This dust is so abrasive that it can penetrate astronauts' spacesuits. During the Apollo missions, astronauts reported that it stuck to everything, caused breathing problems and even damaged equipment. Imagine trying to build an entire city while dealing with that. Finally, lunar gravity is only 16% of Earth's. It might seem fun to float around, but our bodies evolved over millions of years to function with Earth's gravity. Studies show that low gravity causes bone mass loss, muscle atrophy, and cardiovascular problems. A person born on the Moon would probably never be able to visit Earth. It would be physically impossible for them to withstand our gravity. Now that we understand why the Moon is so hostile, let's discover why Mars, despite being much farther away, is actually a much better home for humanity. First major advantage, Mars has an atmosphere. Yes, it's thin, only 1% of Earth's density, but this small layer of gases makes a gigantic difference. It offers some protection against radiation and small meteorites, which simply burn up before hitting the surface. Additionally, this atmosphere is composed mainly of carbon dioxide, which can be converted into oxygen through a process called MOXIE, something NASA is already testing successfully on Mars. Martian gravity is 38% of Earth's. It's not perfect like Earth's, but it's much better than the Moon's 16%. This means our bodies could adapt much better, maintaining bone density and muscle function at healthier levels. Mars has water, lots of water, not just in the polar ice caps, but also underground and even in the atmosphere. The Perseverance rover has already confirmed the presence of liquid underground water in various regions of the planet. To give you an idea, it's estimated that Mars has enough water to cover the entire planet, with an ocean 115 feet deep. Compare that to the Moon, where water exists only in small quantities in polar craters, always frozen and extremely difficult to access. Here's something fascinating. A day on Mars lasts 24 hours and 37 minutes. It's almost identical to our Earth day. This means our circadian rhythms, our internal biological clock, would work almost perfectly on Mars. Compare that to the Moon, where one day lasts 29 Earth days. Imagine trying to maintain a normal sleep cycle with 2 weeks of sunlight, followed by 2 weeks of total darkness. Mars is rich in resources we can use: iron for construction, silicon for solar panels, and even precious metals. But most importantly, Mars has everything we need to produce rocket fuel locally. This means a Martian colony could eventually become completely self-sufficient, something that would be much more difficult on the Moon. But wait, before we completely dismiss the Moon, scientists have discovered something that could change everything: lava tubes. And this discovery is absolutely fascinating. Lava tubes are natural formations created when lava flows and the outer part hardens, creating a tunnel. On Earth, they're between 33 to 98 feet in diameter, but on the Moon and Mars, due to lower gravity, they're gigantic. Lava tubes on Mars are 100 times larger than Earth's, but the Moon's, get ready for this, they're 1,000 times larger. We're talking about natural caverns that could house entire cities. And here's the most incredible part. These tubes offer complete protection against radiation, meteorites, and extreme temperature variations. It's as if nature created perfect bunkers for space colonization. Inside a lunar lava tube, temperature remains stable. There's no dangerous radiation and meteorites can't penetrate. It's literally the perfect environment for a space base. And that's exactly why NASA changed its strategy. The Artemis program doesn't aim to colonize the Moon as a final destination, but rather to establish a lunar base as a stepping stone to Mars. Think of the Moon as a cosmic gas station. Launching a spacecraft from Earth to Mars requires an enormous amount of fuel, but if we can refuel on the Moon using fuel produced locally from lunar water, missions to Mars become much more viable and cheaper. The Moon also serves as the perfect laboratory to test technologies we'll use on Mars. It's much easier and safer to solve problems 3 days away from Earth than 7 months away. And here's a secret that few people know. The Moon is literally covered in gold. Well, not exactly gold, but something even more valuable: helium-3. A single kilogram of helium-3 is worth about 20 million. This rare isotope is essential for clean nuclear fusion and quantum computing. The American startup Interloon is already planning mining missions for 2027. Billions of years of solar wind have deposited helium-3 on the lunar surface. It's a resource that practically doesn't exist on Earth, but could revolutionize our energy matrix. So what's the final answer? Why not colonize the Moon instead of Mars? The truth is, it's not a question of either this or that. It's a question of smart strategy. The real strategy is this: use the Moon as our first base outside Earth, establish mining and fuel production operations, test all necessary technologies, and then use that infrastructure to make Mars missions viable and sustainable. The timeline is ambitious but realistic. NASA plans to return to the Moon with the Artemis 3 mission between 2025 and 2026, establish a permanent base by 2030, and use that base to launch the first crewed missions to Mars in the late 2030s. In the end, we're not choosing between the Moon and Mars. We're building a space civilization that spans both. The Moon will be our first colony, our industrial base, and our laboratory. Mars will be our second home, our insurance policy against extinction, and our first step toward the stars. You know what's most fascinating about all this? We're living at the exact moment in history when humanity is becoming a multi-planetary species. Our children might very well be born in a world where traveling to the Moon is as common as taking a plane to another state. And maybe, just maybe, our grandchildren will grow up watching Martian sunsets through the windows of their homes on the red planet. So, going back to the initial question, why not colonize the Moon instead of Mars? Because the question was wrong from the beginning. It's not instead of, it's before. The Moon isn't our final destination, it's our first step toward a future among the stars. So what do you think? Are you excited to see humanity spreading throughout the solar system? Let me know in the comments. Would you rather live on the Moon or Mars? And why? If you enjoyed discovering these secrets of space colonization, hit that like button, share this with that friend who loves astronomy, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any incredible scientific curiosities. And don't forget to ring that notification bell, because next week we're going to talk about something even more amazing. What life would be like for a child born on Mars. You won't want to miss it.